Chazal tell us that before you speak someplace, you speak about the place that you are speaking in. So it's really a schus to be in the Cohen house. Officially, I go back at least 25 plus years as friends. And it's been a schus to be able to teach his daughters in Beis Yaakov and to watch the beautiful mishpacha that he and his rebbetzim together have raised and continue to. And in Yetz Hashem, this house should always be a bayis of chesed, a bayis of Torah, a bayis of simchas. And in Yetz Hashem, we should get together for many, many more good things over here, Be'ez Hashem. It's always humbling to be with all of the alumni of Beis Yaakov to see how you have matured and grown and developed over the years. And you are, as you should know, you are the light of our nation. You should know that the name that Beis Yaakov has in the Welt, in the world in general, is that the girls that are coming from LA are the best girls in Klal Yisrael. Their midos and their ruchnius and their personality and their geschmackkeit, everything about them makes them the best girls in all of Klal Yisrael. So we just have to convince all of the boys in Lakewood that the best girls in all of Klal Yisrael in Los Angeles, and Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach is going to be a lot of shidduchim this year in Yetz Hashem. We're holding only about a week or so away from Rosh Hashana. And as we're going to be standing on Rosh Hashana and begging the Rabbi that he should give us another year of life, I think that we all know that we need some kind of a zechus, some kind of a merit that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to grant us another year of life. But not just any life we ask for. We ask for a good life, a sweet life, a life that is mali, that is filled with brachas, filled with simcha, filled with all good things. We're asking the Rebbeinu Shalom for an awful lot. And if you want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give you the best year that you ever had in your life, it means we have to have schusim, we have to have merits. So that when we're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashana, He looks at us, He sees our hearts, He sees our souls, and He knows this is exactly the girl that I want to give another year of good life to. So Rabbi writes in the Alei Shur what he calls a Pesach Tikva. He calls it a great doorway of hope for every single one of us of what we could accomplish on the day of the judgment of Rosh Hashana to ensure it's going to be the best year that you ever had before. And he says something fascinating, which is contrary, I think, to everything that we learned from the time that we are children. When you were in Mor Fegi's class in 3 years old, or 4 years old, or 5 years old, and they spoke about Rosh Hashana and what you're being judged on, I assume that everybody learned the following. Whatever I did last year, my mitzvahs and my averas, whatever I did right, that will weigh down the scale in the right side. Whatever I did wrong is going to weigh down the scale on the wrong side. And now on Rosh Hashana, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is deciding, and maybe I'm a Beinoni if I'm lucky, middle of the road, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to judge and weigh out the mitzvahs versus the averas, and He'll decide if I deserve to have another year of life. Right? Simple, that's what we learned. However you behave last year, if you were a good girl, you're going to have a good year. If you're a bad girl, you're going to have a bad year. If you're a middle-of-the-road kind of a girl, so then you have a middle-of-the-road kind of a year. But everything is based upon who we were the previous year. Says Rav Volbe, it's not true. Whatever they taught you all the years you were in school, it's not true. And he brings a raya, he brings a proof from a Gemara. The Gemara tells us the famous story about a young boy by the name of Yishmael. Yishmael was the son of Hagar, son of Avram Avinu, and he was causing a lot of problems in the house. He was really not a good influence on his brother Yitzchak, and Sarah wanted him out of the house. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avram, listen to your wife, she knows what she's talking about. And so he sent them out into the desert. They're traveling through the desert, the heat is, and the sun is shining down on them, it's blistering. And eventually they run out of water, and Yishmael is dehydrating, running a high fever, and he's ready to die. Now, if Yishmael dies in the Midbar, it is the greatest thing for Klal Yisrael. Because that means there's no Arabs, no bus bombings, no October 7th, no wars, no mosques, no suicide bombers, nothing. If Yishmael will die in the desert, it will be the greatest chesed to all of Klal Yisrael. But he's there in the desert, he's dying. His mother cries out to Hashem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Hagar, why are you crying? Open your eyes and look. There's water right in front of you. She goes to the water, she takes a flask, she brings it back to Ishmael, and lo and behold, the boy lives, survives, a miracle. And the Malach Eshar begins screaming out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel olam, what are you doing? Why are you saving this boy's life? And Hashem says, because I looked at the boy Ba'asher Husham the way that he is right now. And right now, tell me, Malachim, he's a tzaddik or a rasha? So the Malachim said, does it matter what he is right now? In the future, you're going to look at CNN, you're going to see what he's going to become. He's going to make a whole thing called October 7th that the Jewish people have not seen since the Holocaust. Why would you want him in the world? Bus bombings and knifings and murders at bus stations. Why would you want such a thing, Hashem? Hashem said, Malachim, you're not listening to me. Ba'asher Husham, the way that Yishmael is right now, tzaddik or rasha? So he said, well, he's a young boy. He's dying of a fever. He's very sick. He's not doing anything evil right now. Closer to a tzaddik than a rasha. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, exactly. When I judge a person, I don't judge the person on who they're going to become. And the Chiddush says, the Alei Shor is, I don't judge a person on who they were before. I judge a person Ba'asher Husham the way that they are right now while they are standing in front of me. And right now, Yishmael is a poor young lad who's dying, can't even lift his finger to do 1 ounce of evil. So I look at him like a tzaddik that is in the throes of death, and therefore I judge him like that. And that's why he's going to survive, and that's why he's going to live. Says the Alei Shor, you know what the Gemara is coming to teach us? That when the Ribono shel olam comes to judge a person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not look behind that person and see the way they were behaving. And even though that Hashem knows the future, He does not look into the future to see what they're going to be in the up and coming year. HaKadosh Baruch Hu ends up looking at the person, how they are right now, Ba'asher Husham, at this exact moment of judgment. Which means that on Rosh Hashana, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in all of His chesed and His rachamim, He decides not to look at who you were last year. All the mistakes, all the shortcomings, all the failed tests, He doesn't examine. And even though that in His infinite wisdom, He knows what you're going to become this up and coming year, He knows what you're going to do right, what you're going to do wrong, you go in the right direction, He knows all of that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm not looking at any of that. I'm looking at the person, who they are on Rosh Hashana itself. You look like a tzaddikus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashana, you are judged as a tzaddikus. You don't look like a tzaddikus on Rosh Hashana? Okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has something else in store then in that judgment. Now there's one major question on this chiddush that he says. Is it fair to say that the person that you are on Rosh Hashana is a compilation of the person that you were every single day leading up to Rosh Hashanah. Whatever you did this previous year, whoever you were hanging out with this year, whatever came out of your mouth, whatever activities you were involved with, mitzvahs, averos, everything, the way your mind works, isn't it fair to say that who you are right now is just a composite of everything that you've done up until this point? And even more than that. How, you're 19, 20, 21 years old? That means your whole life. From the time that you were born, the day you were raised, that you were with your family, that you were with your siblings, you were with your friends, you went to school, your friends in school and the like. All the experiences, everything that you went through. Doesn't that make you who you are? So how could you fake HaKadosh Baruch Hu out on Rosh Hashanah and show up and become the biggest tzaddikus in the world when Hashem knew yesterday you were not, and today He says you are? But Asher Husham, the way that you are right now, that is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is judging you. How in the world does that work? What is the Ikra Avodah of Rosh Hashanah? What is the main thing that everyone's going to be busy with all day on Rosh Hashanah? After the apple and the honey, of course. What is the main thing that you're doing on Rosh Hashanah? What? You're going to spend the majority of the day davening. You have a machzor that's about 935 pages long, and that's without English. You have 8, 9, 10, 12 hours in the morning, on the first day, on the second day. If you're really a tzaddikus, you're going to go back for mincha, and you'll stay for Mariv, and you'll spend the whole entire day in tefillah on Rosh Hashanah. Which means, while HaKadosh Baruch Hu is judging us on Rosh Hashanah, and He's looking to see what kind of a person we are on Rosh Hashanah, how's He judging us? Based on how we are when we are davening. Now, if you're a good davener, you're in great shape, because you spent all these years preparing yourself for the marathon of davening on Rosh Hashanah, and you like to daven, and your heart connects to davening, and you feel into it. So when you come to shul on Rosh Hashanah, whoa, it's like amazing. It's like davening on steroids. It's unbelievable. So you could daven and daven and daven with stamina, keep going and going and going and going. You know, there's something called the Los Angeles Marathon. So in the front of the marathon, there's always some guy from Kenya. He knows how to run a mile in about 3.5 minutes. And he runs the entire time, like 3.5 minute miles. He finishes like in a few hours, he's done with 26 miles. But there's some good old Americans that are not quite as fit as he is, and they're running, and they start dragging their feet, and they're going, and it gets very hard. Somewhere around mile 13, it's really hard, but they keep pushing and trying to go and go and go. Do they make it? Eventually they make it, but it's hours and hours and hours after the guy from Kenya made it there to the finish line. So are you a Kenyan? Are you someone that is trained and you are ready to run the marathon of the davening of Rosh Hashanah? You can just keep going and going and going and going. Every tefillah is so amazing. It's so elevating. It's so connecting to Hashem. Or are you like the out-of-shape American that had pizza for dinner the night before the marathon? He just can't run the race so quickly, and he's just dragging his feet along. How is your tefillah going to look? So if in fact our judgment of Rosh Hashanah is our davening, we better make sure that our davening counts. And if it doesn't count, we're going to be in big trouble over here. How's Hashem going to judge us? Now I want to share with you an idea in tefillah. Perhaps we learned this together when we were in class, but it's kedai, it's worthwhile to chazer over to review. Hashem is perfect, correct? We agree? Hashem knows what He's doing. Doesn't make any mistakes, right? Because if He would make a mistake, then He wouldn't be perfect. So that means that everything that is going on in your life is perfect. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the world, and He decided that whatever you have, it's exactly the way that it should be. So if you have a person in the world who has no parnasa, and they're struggling to pay the bills every single month, so they say, well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're perfect. Everything you do is perfect. You're all good. Everything you do is good. So it must be that it's good that I have no parnasa. No reason to daven for parnasa. Because why would I tell Hashem what to do? He knows what He's doing. A person is Rahman al-Zan, they are ill. They're very sick. The doctors say, we don't know if there's any hope for this person. And so the person now says, well, Hashem, everything you do is so good, so I just accept it. Don't have to daven, because everything Hashem does is good. A couple's married for 12 years, no children. Obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided Hashem does not want them to have children. So why are they davening, going to every Rebbe, getting a bracha, going to all the Kibbutz Tzaddikim in Eretz Yisrael? Why are they doing that? Hashem is perfect. He knows what He's doing. Why should I have anything else? A young lady in Los Angeles, she'd like a shidduch. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what is best for this girl. He didn't give her this one, and didn't give her that one, and that one didn't work out. Hashem, you know what you're doing. You're the best, Hashem. So why should I daven for a shidduch this year? Hashem knows exactly what He's doing. Obviously, it's what we call a klutz kasha. There's obviously something wrong in this question. Because if Chatzkel Levenstein says, you don't understand what you're doing when you daven, and you don't understand what's going on when, in fact, Hashem gives you what He gives you in life. And he explains the following idea. That when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides what a person's going to have in their life, sickness, no parnasa, no children, no shidduch, problems, issues, all the things going on in their life, it's all because of the madrega, of the level in ruchnius that they are on right now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a person midah keneged midah based on who they are at this exact moment, in this month, in this week, in this year. So if Hashem decided that this person has no parnasa, it's because who that person is right now, that's the decree that's going to be upon them. But when a person davens, and they pour out their heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they do what's called avodah shebelev, they do the service of the heart, they put all of their energy and their effort into their tefillos. Says of Chatzkel, you know what happens to the person? They change. They become a different person. They are elevated level after level after level. And then the Rabbi Shalom comes down, he says, where's that? Where did she go? That one that I didn't give part of, where did she go? Can't find her. Oh, look who's in front of me. Oh, this is her? She's a different person. She's standing in a different place. That's the one that is going to be able to receive the bracha that she's asking for. The chiddush over here of what's taking place on Rosh Hashana is that if you change yourself and you transform yourself through your tefillas on Rosh Hashana, you no longer are the same person that you were last year. And everything you did last year, Hashem says, I'm not even paying attention, I'm not looking, I don't care about it. Because this young lady has become somebody so different. She's so unbelievable and amazing. She's standing in front of me and she looks like a different person altogether. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He loves us so much, why did He make Sarah, Rivka, and Rachel akaros? Why did He make them barren women? He loves us. He only wants what's best for us. Why would He give them such pain? Say Chazal, because Hashem is misavil l'tfilasin shel tzadikim. He desires our prayers. What Hashem needs to hear, please Hashem, give me a chance. Does Hashem need that? No, what He desires is that when you are lacking something, and you start davening and davening and davening for that thing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you transform yourself, you become a different person, you are elevated, and now you become a much greater tzaddikis than you ever were before. to the new and improved you the brachas that you're asking for? The parnasa, the refuah, the shidduch, the children, whatever it is that a person is asking for, Hashem says, oh, the new you, you deserve something different. And I'm not judging you on the past. I'm not judging you on the future. Abba Asher Husham, the way that you are right now. There's an amazing, amazing maisa of a husband and a wife that were married for somewhere around 15 years. And they had no children. Rahman al-Islam. And of course, they did everything. They went to all the doctors. They had all the treatments. They went to Gedolei Torah. They got all the brachas. They went to Kivrei Tzadikim and they davened. They put out the hearts. Nothing at all worked. 15 years, childless. Finally, they find out that there's one last doctor who's the mumcha. He's the biggest expert that there is in this field. And they decide they're going to take their files of all of their exams from all the years, all the treatments that they went through, and they're going to bring it to this new doctor and ask him, please, Mr. Expert Doctor, give us some hope. Let us know that you'll be able to bring us a child. And so the day the appointment comes, and they come before the doctor, and he looks at all of their records, and he runs more exams and more tests. And he says, I'll see you back here in a week. We'll go through everything. We'll see what the probability is. And they come back the next week. And they sit down in front of the doctor by his big desk. And they see he's not smiling. And they know that doctor face already. Doctors that they should go to like acting school to learn how to do a better job when it comes to these patients. But he's just sitting there with that sour face on. And he looks at their files and he looks at them and he says, I want you to know I went through everything. I thought perhaps there was this way or that way. But I'm sorry to inform you, there's absolutely nothing that I can do for you. You will never, ever have children. The husband and the wife, they were broken by these words. They drove home in silence. When they got back to their house, the husband said to his wife, I want you to know, for the last 15 years since we got married, every single day in the bracha of Shema Koleinu in Shemona Esrei, I always insert, and may Hashem give us children. 15 years I'm davening. And now the doctor told us there's no hope, we'll never have a child. He says to his wife, I want you to know, starting today, I'm no longer davening for children. I'm not going to waste my tefillahs anymore on something that is not going to come true. And his wife said to her husband, I'll respect your decision, but at the end of the day, everything is in the hands of Hashem. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to have children, it's up to Him. We could still have children. If you don't want to daven, I'm not going to ask you to daven. The husband wakes up the next morning, early in the morning for nates like he does every day. He goes to the shul. And as he's walking the shul, he's telling himself, I'm not davening today for children, not in Shema Koleinu. Done davening for that. He says bracha is psuk de zimra. He says Shema. He's getting closer to the Shemona Esrei. He says, that's it. I know Shemona Esrei is coming. Shema Koleinu. I'm not going to daven for children. He gets in the Shemona Esrei, and he's going along in the brachas, and he's getting very, very close to Shema Koleinu. No, I'm not going to daven for a child. He gets to the bracha of Shema Koleinu. He's about to open his mouth and daven without a bracha, without saying davening for a child. And just as he's about to open his mouth, suddenly in the shul, he hears the screaming and the screeching cry of an infant, whack, crying their head off. And he thinks to himself, what is that? And the baby keeps crying and crying and crying. And this man, as he's about to begin Shema Kolenu, where he was davening 15 years for a child, it pierces his heart and he says, Ribono shel Olam, all these years we daven, my wife and I, for one thing, just a child. We also want to hear the cries of a child in our house. Please, Ribono shel, the doctors say no, the bracha didn't come true. Please, give us a child. And he's davening and crying and davening and crying. And at the end of davening, he feels like the heaviest weight has been taken off of his heart. And he starts looking around, where is this infant? Where is this child? And he sees a man in shul with a stroller. And he goes over, he says, what are you doing here today? He's like, I'm sorry. What are you doing here with your child? He says, I'm so sorry, I interrupted. No. What are you doing here? And he said, I'll tell you the truth. He said, the baby was up like all night last night. My wife was up with the baby till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Finally, pushed him around in the stroller, he finally fell asleep. My wife went to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was still awake. I said, you know what? Let me save my wife, just in case he wakes up. I'll take him to shul with me and she can get a few hours of sleep before the day starts. He said, I'm so sorry that the baby started crying in the middle of Shemona Esrei. He says, no. You don't understand. It was the best thing that could ever happen to me. Thank you for bringing your child today. And about 9 months later, the husband and wife that could not have children for 15 years, one honest feeler with tears, he and his wife were zeicha to bring a child into this world. Because when you daven and you change yourself, when you connect to the words, when you connect to the kavanah, to the feelings, when you pour out your heart, you are becoming a different person. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, whatever I decided last year, 5785, gone. Whatever you're going to do this year, I'm not even looking at, says Hashem. Right now, Ba'asher Husham, who are you right now? Oh, such a tzaddik, such a level. You raise yourself up. I'm able to judge you like that. There's one other big avodah that we have on Rosh Hashana. And that, of course, is the shofar. The lashon of shofar, the Midrash says, is a language of shipur, which means to be meshaper ma'asechem. The shofar is supposed to come to remind a person we are in this world to improve our actions. Now, what kind of a shofar do we use? We all know we use the shofar of an ayil, of a ram's horn. And the Gemara tells us, why do we use the shofar of a ram's horn? Lama toikim b'shofar shel ayil, asked the Gemara. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tiku lefanai b'shofar shel ayil. I want you to blow the shofar shel ayil of a ram before me. Kedei she'ezkor lechem ha'kedes Yitzchak ben Avram, that I should remind myself and remember the Akedah, uma'ala ani aleichem, and I will look at it ki'ilu, as if akadetem atzmechem lefanai, you sacrificed yourself in front of me. Is it like magic? You stand in shul, he blows the beautiful shofar, it's nice and loud, the windows are reverberating, everybody feels a little bit of hisaris of tshuva at that moment, and you say, whoa, Hashem's now remembering Akedas Yitzchak, I'm good to go. Is that how it works? Does anything in Yiddishkeit just work like that? It's just wave the magic wand and everything goes exactly where that we want it to go? I think the Gemara is saying a much deeper idea over here. What was Akedas Yitzchak? There's two people that are involved in Akedas Yitzchak. Avraham and his son Yitzchak. Avraham Avinu was the master of chesed in this world. The way that he found the Ribono Shel Olam was through the chesed of Hashem. And the midah of rachamim, of mercy, was something that was pulsating inside of Avraham all of the time. He was always looking for ways to help people, to do better for people, to take care of them. That was the life of Avraham Avinu. And his greatest simcha in the world was Yitzchak Avinu, 37 years old at the time of the Akedah. He taught him all of his Torah. He primed him to be the next in line in the chain of the Messiah. And Avraham Avinu was a very big opponent of Avodah Zarah, as we know. And one of the silliest things of Avodah Zarah was they would sacrifice their children to the gods of Avodah Zarah. And Avraham went around for months and years and years and years, and he would say, look how foolish Avodah Zarah is. They want to shake their own children. For the gods, it's crazy. Comes along HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says, Avraham, Hineni, yes Hashem. Take your son. Which son, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I have two sons. Your only son. I have one son from Hagar and one son from Rivka. The one that you love. I love both of my sons. Yitzchak. Take Yitzchak. Yeah, what should I do with him? Take him to the mountain, and I want you to put him on the altar and shecht him. Yes, Hashem. The most chesedic person, the most merciful man in the world. The moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, take your son and shecht him, whatever you say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'll do. That means that the Mesiras Nefesh of Avraham Avinu, to go against his very nature, to go against his will, to do something that's impossible for the human mind to understand, all for the sake of the Ratzon Hashem, that in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the height of Mesiras Nefesh, of sacrifice that a Jew could do for Hashem's will. Who is Yitzchak? He's Avodah, service of Hashem. Wake up in the morning, go to shul, daven, learn Torah, say brachas, do chesed, do acts of kindness, help people out. Be involved in every single mitzvah and all the dikduki mitzvah, all the nuances of the mitzvah. He does everything. He's a Baal Avodah. He does what Hashem wants him to do. Hashem says, Yitzchak, yes Hashem, I want you to lay yourself down on the altar and let your father shecht you. Aye, Captain, yes Hashem. Yitzchak, you're Avodah. If you die on the altar, you can't serve Hashem anymore. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that this is what you're supposed to do, so then Yitzchak Avinu says, I'll be moiser nafshi, I will sacrifice myself for the sake of Hashem. The Midrash goes on to say that Yitzchak Avinu was, that number one, Avraham Avinu was so excited to the mitzvah, like a father who is walking his son down to the chuppah. That was the simcha that Avraham had when he was walking Yitzchak to the altar. And Yitzchak was so overwhelmed with the ability to do the will of Hashem, he was trembling. And he said to his father, Abba, please tie me down very tight. I'm so excited to do this mitzvah. I'm afraid I'm going to shake. And if I shake at the wrong time when you shecht me, it won't be a good shechita. And it won't be a good korban. So bind me very tight to make sure that the korban and the shechita is good. So what does that mean about Akedas Yitzchak? It means that the Mesiras Nefesh, the self-sacrifice of Avram and of Yitzchak was so unbelievable. It was so great. That is the schus that is standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's not magic. It's only if you yourself will tap in to the Mesiras Nefesh that a Jew has to have in their life. If you will be Moiser Nefesh yourself in a way that you were never Moiser Nefesh before, if you will do something that is so hard for you to do, but you know that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you, that's the schus of the Akedah that you have in front of you. Like the Gemara says, I'll look at it as if you are on the altar and you are bringing yourself as a korban. There's a ma'aseh with two older sisters. One was 38 and one was 36, and neither were married yet, living in Eretz Yisrael. And the 36-year-old began going out with a young man. I don't know how young he was. He went going out with a young man. And it was going very well, Baruch Hashem. Actually, very well. And somewhere around the 4th, 5th date, now the story behind these sisters is that the father had passed away when they were younger, and the mother, unfortunately, was not a healthy woman, and she was like not in the picture at all. So the potential chassan says to this young girl, after like the 5th date, you know, it's going pretty well right now. Who do I speak to in your family about finances? You know, a wedding costs money, apartment down payment costs money, furniture costs money. Who am I going to speak to about the finances? So she said, there's really no one to speak to. You can speak directly to me. What's exactly your question? He said, well, my question is that where are we going to have the money to live? It costs a lot of money to live. So she said, look, I've been working for many years, but all I was able to save up was 150,000 shekel. Maybe it sounds like a lot of money to you, but it's not. It's about $50,000, which is about 1 month's rent in Ramat Eshkol, so it's not going to help so much. So he said to her, 150,000 shekel, that's like nothing. Chasana costs money, down payment for an apartment costs money, furniture, everything costs money. What's going to be? She said, I don't know what you want. I've been supporting my family for a very long time. That's all that I have left. So he said, look, you seem like a very bright young lady. Maybe you'll go home, you'll think about what you could do. Maybe you'll find a way to get some more money. I mean, this thing, so we can move forward. She goes home. She sits down by the dining room table, and her older sister, the 38-year-old sister, sees her and she says, Rachel, what's the matter? You look so sad. I thought everything was going well. She said, it is going well, but he asked me about money today. And I told him what I have. I only have 150,000 shekel in savings. I don't know what to do. So her sister says, what are you worried about? I have 500,000 shekel in savings. Take my money and go get married. She says, yeah, but Rivka, what about you? You're certainly going to find a chassan one of these days, then you won't have any money. She says, nah, I'm older than you. I'm so happy to see you happy. You found the guy, the one of your dreams, it's going well. I don't want you to lose out. Take my money. With mine, you have 650,000 shekel. That's a good amount of money. Take it and go and get married. No, I can't. Please, she says, please. You'll make me so happy if you take my money. In the end, she takes the money. She goes back to the young man and she says, you'll never believe it. I came up with another 500,000 shekel. He said, wow, overnight? How did you do that? She said, I have an older sister who is 38, also not married. She's been saving up money year after year after year. She gave me all of her money for the chasana. Wow, he says, that's incredible. The date goes very well. He leaves the date. He calls a cousin of his in America who's 40 years old and not married. And he says, listen, I don't know this girl. I only know what she did. She's willing to give up all of her money so that her younger sister should be able to get married. He said, you're 40, you're picky, I know you're looking for midos. You keep talking about midos. I never saw midos like this before. I think you should look into her. Maybe this is the girl for you. The younger sister and the boy go out, chassan and kala, they become, Baruch Hashem, mazel tov. The guy, the cousin in America, he looks into this older sister, he finds out enough good things, he flies to Eretz Yisrael, he begins dating her. And it's going very, very well. He never let her know that he knows the secret of the money. They're on about the 4th or 5th date, and he says to her, I just was wondering if I could ask you, what's going to be with finances? And she says, I'm very sorry. I don't really have a penny to my name. So if you're counting on me, there's really nothing that I can do. He said, you don't have a penny? you're not such a young girl. You've probably been working all of these years. You didn't save up any money? No, I don't have any money right now. And he pushed, and he pushed, and he pushed, until finally she reveals the story that she gave all of her money away to her sister, that she should be able to go and get married. So he looks at her and he says, I want you to know, I know that story. And that's why I'm dating you. Because that's exactly the kind of a wife that I'm looking for. He says, Baruch Hashem, I don't have to worry about money. I have a good job. I'm independently wealthy. And besides that, I come from a very wealthy family. I have nothing to worry about. He says, you are the wife that I've been looking for all of these years, with the midos that you have. They end up becoming a chassan and a kala. Of course, he has plenty of money to buy himself an apartment. But he was so overwhelmed by this family, he bought his cousin and his wife, his sister-in-law, an apartment as well, and they all lived happily ever after. Because when you are moiser nefesh yourself, when you are willing to make big moves and big changes in your life, the truth of the matter is, on Rosh Hashana, Kodesh Baruch Hu is not even asking for something major. Everybody knows. Aren't you the same person the day after Rosh Hashana you were the day before Rosh Hashana? Ne'ila's over, you're crying out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're crying like a baby, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be better. Until you walk out of the shul and somebody says, was that like the longest Ne'ilah ever? You're like, yeah, my gosh, I'm starving. Wait a second, you're just telling Hashem I'm going to be such a tzaddik this year. What are you doing? So aren't you more or less the same person after Yom Kippur that you were before? The same person after Rosh Hashanah you were before? You know, it's like when you go on vacation, you leave all the problems of LA behind. You fly off. Where do you guys go now? Aruba? Where do you guys go these days? You fly to some Mediterranean continent, and you're with the whatever goes on over there, and then you're having the time of your life, and then you're flying back, and the minute you land in LAX, feels like LA once again. And then you come home, Gewalt, my brother's still here, Gewalt. That annoying little kid, he's still bothering me? Yes, he is, he's still here. So Rosh Hashanah, we get elevated, wow, it's so exciting. Then you come home, same life. Yom Kippur, Hashem, I'm going to be better this year. You come home, same life. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not looking for the overhaul. Even the smallest little act of Mesiras Nefesh that you could have, and everybody knows. I think I told you this story years before. I can't believe it's already probably 7, 8 years, maybe more. If you remember the story of Gabriel Sassoon. He had 7 children, Rahman al-Islam, that they were all killed in a tragic fire on a Friday night. And he himself was not even at home that night. He was far away in another area in New York, and they came, Hatzalah came in the morning, they brought us a nightmare. He spoke by the Levaya like only a man with Amunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu could ever speak before. It was something out of this world. And a very good friend of mine is a good friend of his, and he went to pay a Shiva call. And while he was in the Shiva house, so there was one of the guys that was there, and it's very uncomfortable, and nobody knows really what to say. And the guy says, Gabriel, tell me what I could do for an aliyah for the neshama of all your children. So Gabriel says, I should tell you what to do. Do I know what your struggles are? Do I know what your weaknesses are? Do I know what you're having a hard time with in Avodas Hashem? I don't know. You know yourself. You decide something that's going to be hard, you'll have to push, and that will be a great aliyah for my children, but it'll be an aliyah for your neshama as well. I am sure that as young women that are back in the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, with all of the billboards that every week there's like a new Kol Korah that's going out, call the city and tell them, take that one down, and take that one down, and take that one down. And the people that are walking on the streets are even scarier than the pictures that are on the billboards. and the music that is playing, and the relatives that are not so frum, and the parents that are saying funny things at the Shabbos table, and all the different things that are going on and on and on and on, I'm sure that it's not so easy for a young lady in Los Angeles, California, to maintain all of the spiritual dignity that they felt that they had maybe when they were a Beis Yaakov girl, maybe when they were in seminary, maybe when they first came back. It's hard to hold on. Maybe there's one area in your life, this Rosh Hashanah, you could commit to be Meiser Nefesh for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one of the great shilas that I get all of the time is, so could I get a smartphone now? I don't know, that's a great shilah. Do you need a smartphone? I don't know if I need, but everybody has and that. Let's say that you did. I'm not saying to get rid of it. But probably there's an app or two on your phone. You really don't need it. You really don't. The world will go on without you checking up on, what is it? Sephora? What is that one? Yeah? The world will exist even if you're not on Amazon.com every single day purchasing all of the things that you must have because you cannot live without them. Because people like you buy this also. You don't need it. You don't need Amazon on your phone to drive you crazy to want more and more and more. I guarantee every single person, there's one little app that they have. You can sacrifice it this year on Rosh Hashanah. And you can say, you know what? I don't need this. And that will be big in the eyes of Hashem. Perhaps there are things that you do now that you never ever did before. And it's natural, it's normal, it's chilled out in the beautiful city of LA. I understand. But maybe one little thing you're telling yourself, I could live without that. I could live without that. I'll be Meiser Nefesh for the Ribono Shel Olam. So that when I'm standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashanah, he reminds himself, Akedas Yitzchak. How's he reminded of Akedas Yitzchak when he looks at me? Because just like Yitzchak and Avram were Meiser themselves for the will of Hashem, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the will of Hashem as well. And the Ikar is our tefillah. If we will elevate and we will grow and we will climb different avenues in our tefillah, and it will come from a place deep in our hearts, which means try your best to be in shul on Rosh Hashanah. Try to be there from the beginning to the end if you can. You need to walk out a little bit for a break, you have to get some fresh air. Okay, fine, it's understood. But the ikr is the davening, and you change, you transform yourself. And when you transform, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ba'asher Hu Sham, the way that you are in Rosh Hashanah, that's the way that I'm going to judge you. So if there's anything that you've wanted all these years and it didn't come true yet, try changing this year in Rosh Hashanah. And if you do, you're guaranteed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring the brachas that you desire. Im Yetz Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us all the strength and the stamina and the courage to be strong during these times of the year, to have the koyach hatfilah, to be meiser nefesh ourselves for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to find that one little thing that's in our lives and say, you know what, Hashem, for you, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need it. I lived without it before. I should be able to live without it now. And in that zechus, Im Yetz Hashem, you will see only a year of Tav Shin Pei Vav. You'll see a year that is filled with so much good, so much bracha, so much simcha, so much growth, that ma shalibchen chafetz, whatever your heart desires, that is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give to you. Aksiva v'chasima toiva, a good gebench jor should only have a year of bracha, of simcha, and tremendous. You should be a source of tremendous nachas to the Ribono Shel Olam.